Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing the layout I created for the cyber crop over at Mystical Scrapbooks. I'll put a link in the description box below so you can pop over and have a look at that. I'm going to use this Crafters Workshop stencil called Two Hearts to add some pink texture paste to my white background. Now the requirement is that it has to be monochromatic, so you're only allowed to have like minimal amount of black and white, so most of this background will be pink by the time I'm finished. So I'm using my modelling paste and I'm mixing that together with some glimmer mist. The colour is Starfish, which is a pinky colour. I'm going to mix those two together and then use my palette knife to apply that paste through my stencil. Next I added some splatters using an Artiste spritzing ink in Black Night. Then I also used Glimmer Mist in Cherub Pink and Iridescent Gold, and I have splattered those all over the background. So I'm going to set that aside to dry, and while I'm waiting for it to dry I'm going to start work on my papers. So I'm using this deep pink colour. I'm cutting two strips that are 1/2 inch by 12 inches, and then I've got a paler pink that I'm going to cut two pieces the same size, once again the 1/2 inch by 12 inch. I'm going to use my art glitter glue to attach the pink one on top of the darker pink one, so that I've got probably maybe 1/4 inch of the darker colour showing. Then I'm going to use some washi tape. I'm going to tear that so that it's got a rough edge, and I'm going to just stick a bit of that over one section of each of those strips that I've created. When I'd finished that, I decided to add a little strip of glitter washi tape. Now, I said previously that I'm going to be using uniquely creative papers, and the range I'm using is Serendipity. So I'm going to cut some strips of paper here. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just got an idea that I'm going to use some strips. So I'm cutting this door so that it's 2 inches wide and it's 12 inches long. And I'm going to cut a piece of the Providence 3/4 inch by 12 inches. I'm going to map my photo with the dark coloured pink cardstock, but first of all I filed around the edge with my emery board. Then I cut my photo mat 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. My photo is 6 by 4. My background's dry now, so I'm going to add some more interest to that. I'm going to start by using a Gazaz stamp called Reason Season Lifetime. It's a text stamp. I'm going to stamp that with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'm not going to use it on a block or anything like that. I don't want a full solid image. I'm just going to stamp bits and pieces here and there. So I'm just adding a bit of darkness to the background and a little bit of visual interest. I'm going to do the same thing using two more stamps. They're both Kaisercraft. One's called Grid and one's called Numbers. Now that my background's dry, I can start playing around with my pattern papers and deciding where to place them. I have trimmed that spotty paper, which is the Adore, down so that it's 10 inches long, I think, or 10.5 inches long. And I have inked around the edge of all of my pattern papers. I decided I needed another layer, so I cut a piece of the Providence and used the other side of it, so the floral side, and I cut that so it was 1 1/4 inch wide. I have inked the edges of all of my pattern papers and applied double-sided tape to the back of them. Now I'm going to start attaching them to my background. The two strips that I made to start with the two coloured plain cardstocks, one's going at the top and one's going at the bottom of my layout, and then my other pattern papers are basically going through the centre of my layout. So I'm just going to work my way through that, and all of them were added using double-sided tape, and as I said, all of them have had the edges inked using my black Versacolor ink cube. I added some sticky back foam tape, foam to the back of my photo and positioned it approximately where I wanted it, and then added a couple more strips of that glitter washi tape to each side of the photo before I actually went ahead and stuck that down. Time now to embellish my layout. To do this, I have fussy cut some doilies from this sheet. It's called Carefree, and I've cut one in half, and I'm going to use that in two different places. I have also used some pieces from the Guns N' Roses Creative Cuts. I'm inking the edge of all of these elements, and I'm using a tag that is actually going to be the title for my page. It says "Love This Life." I'm going to tie some pink ribbon through the hole of that, and then I'm just going to attach them to my page. Now, some of them I have attached on foam tape. I think the tag and the little arrow that sits over the folder next to the tag are on foam tape, but everything else is flat on the page. The arrow and the heart from the fussy cut elements has a white border around them. I'm not a big fan of white borders around embellishments, so I have trimmed them down so that the white border is no longer on there. Now might be a good time to remind you that if you're not already a subscriber, I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment. I answer all comments left on my videos. So that's basically my layout for today. I'm going to just ink around the edge of the whole page, give that little bit of a white border, a black border, I'm sorry. So don't forget, the link to Mystical Scrapbooks will be in the description box below. Also links to the products I've used if you're interested in having a look at those. Yeah, so thank you for joining me here today, and I hope you can join me for my next video.